Your PIP flexion, it's the same thing. Your axis is going to be your PIP joint. Your stationary arm is going to go over your proximal phalanx, and your movable arm is going to go over your middle phalanx. And then this is all you're doing, like so. And then same thing with your distal, your DIP flexion. Stationary arm goes over the middle phalanx. Your axis goes over the DIP joint, and then your movable arm goes over your DIP phalanx. And you want to make sure, yep, the fingers are out of the way. So that's it. That's for flexion. Now for extension, you're going to go in the volar surface. So it's just the same thing, but on the flip side. So my axis again will go over your metacarpal. My stationary arm goes over the metacarpal, and then your movable arm is going to go over the proximal phalanx, and you would just have them, extend their fingers back, and you just take that measurement. So I would do the same for your MCP extension. This would be your PIP extension, and then your DIP extension. Is that okay to do it that way? Okay. And then, let's see, we talked about abduction. So abduction, so this you might want to, can you see okay? So hand is resting. So when you're doing this, the idea is that you want to make sure that this joint is kind of lined up to being at 0. So all I'm doing is, again, my axis is going to be the metacarpal bone, and then my stationary arm is going to be lined up to her actual metacarpal, and then the movable arm is going to be lined up to her proximal phalanx. So if I'm doing abduction, I'm going to have her move her index finger over towards her thumb. So can you move your index finger over towards your thumb? And then take that measurement. So the common mistake that people will make is that this will shift over, so you want to make sure that you keep it lined up to the mid-shaft of the metacarpal bone. So this would be 0 to 14. Okay? Now if I want to look at doing a deduction, so again, axis is going to be the metacarpal. The stationary arm is going to be lined up to the metacarpal bone, and then your movable arm is going to be lined up to the proximal phalanx. And so I'm going to move her finger out of the way and then ask her to move her index finger towards her middle finger. Oops, ready? And so here, again, just make sure you're lined up to the middle part of the phalanx. So now she is from 0 to 29. Very normal. And then when you're doing your MCP, or your finger, your finger MCP IP flexion. So ideally, she's going to be normal where the tips of her finger can touch the palmar crease. But when you're testing somebody, you're going to measure it in centimeters. And the idea is that you're just taking it from the distal end of their finger. Oops. Yep, here we go. So you're just taking it from the distal end of their finger, and then all you're doing is just measuring it from the tip. So I'm measuring it, so she's going to probably be about like 3 centimeters from her crease. Okay, oops, can you see that? Okay, and that's it. But your goal is to try to get them all the way down to 0. My hand model. So what you'll do here, so for when you're doing metacarpal flexion, all you're doing is your axis is going to be your metacarpal joint, and then your stationary arm is going to be over the metacarpal, and your movable arm is going to go over your proximal phalanx. So when she bends her finger down, I'm just going to go like, oops, this is a bad example. So you're just going to kind of come over like this. That's all you're doing. And so she's what, 96? So 0 to 96.